Okay, folks, here's a quick review of the Injustice Batman figure that was produced by Mattel as a part of the DC Comics Unlimited line of products. I picked this up at Toys R Us for $19.99. There are two versions of this figure currently available in retail stores that I'm aware of. One version has a costume with a purpose coloration, and the other version has a costume with a gunmetal coloration. I'll be reviewing the gunmetal version of this figure for you today. Now, I've noticed on several of these Injustice Batman figures that the ears on Batman's mask have a tendency to be warped in the package. I believe the ears on his mask are bigger than they normally are, so that may explain why that's occurring. Just be mindful of it if you find several of these figures in your local stores. Okay, when I first got Injustice Batman out of his packaging, I liked his overall appearance. Now, admittedly, I have not played the Injustice video game, as I'm just not a big video game fan, so I don't know if this figure is game accurate or not, but I've heard that it is. That being said, I've heard that some fans don't seem to really like this particular version of Batman's costume, but I disagree with them, as I think the new costume, it looks really cool. I will say that I like the gunmetal coloration on his costume, much more so than the purple version of the previous release of this figure. The articulation joints worked quite smoothly right out of the package. I had no problem with moving the head, shoulders, mid-abdominal crunch, elbows, wrists, hips, knees, or ankles. However, I do question the decision to include an articulation joint right above the knee area, and I would have rather seen an ankle pivot joint included on this figure, or even some waist articulation. The hip articulation is somewhat restricted when moving the legs front to back, but not side to side. Paint apps were, for the most part, pretty well done. The only error that I found was in the area of his utility belt, where a dab of gold paint had dripped onto his uniform. Thankfully, it's not too noticeable. Batman's cape is made of a soft plastic and does not appear to be removable. He also appears to stand pretty well without the aid of a figure stand, although I think it would have been nice if Mattel had included one in the package. So let me pause here, zoom in, and I'll give you a closer look as to what Injustice Batman looks like. Okay. Now, I was disappointed to see that there were no accessories included with the Injustice Batman figure, as I think it would have been nice to have a Batarang or two included in the package. So what I'll do now is a quick 360 of him for you, and let's see what he looks like from all sides. So here he is from the front. Here he is from the left. Here he is from the rear. The right-hand side. Finally, here we are once again from the front. So overall, I really like this version of Batman. I like the design of the costume, and the figure itself, I think it displays pretty well. I was disappointed that a figure stand was not included in the package, and that there were no accessories included, especially when you consider how fond Batman is of using his batarangs and other accessories. I was somewhat mystified with the inclusion of an additional articulation joint around the knee area, as I think having waist articulation or even an ankle pivot joint would have afforded this figure much better posing options. But in spite of that, I think this Batman deserves a great recommendation. I think it's a really nice addition to a DC Comics or a Batman collection. Okay, so on that note, take care and stay tuned for my next review. Have a good one.